Looking ahead to the general election as parties focus on flipping seats.
I think you may have just awoken a sleeping giant.
There's going to be no blue wave, there'll be a red tide.
An initiative to introduce more solar and wind energy in Arizona with plenty of pushback.
They want us to have a clean energy future.
This is not an Arizona idea supported by Arizonans.
And an industry built around NAFTA prepares for what's next.
Hampering that trade would have detrimental effects to our area.
Hello and welcome to Arizona 360. I'm Lorraine Rivera. Thank you so much for joining us. The U.S. Senate welcomed back John Kyl this week, who now holds the seat vacated by the late John McCain. Kyl took his oath of office a day after his appointment by Governor Doug Ducey. He retired from the Senate in 2012 after serving 3 terms. This time around, Kyl says he will stay through January 3rd when the current congressional session ends. Until then, Republicans will likely count on him for votes on key issues. Here now with analysis is Luigi Del Puerto, editor of the Arizona Capital Times in Phoenix. Luigi, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Let's begin with the significance of the presidential endorsement, if you will, just moments after Governor Ducey's announcement that John Kyl would be taking over the seat of John McCain. That means something, doesn't it?
It does. It means that the Tea Party wing of the Republican Party supports John Kyl as John McCain's successor. In fact, we have seen conservative stalwarts immediately applaud the governor's choice of John Kyl as McCain's successor. So yes.
This is somewhat strategic given that we have a Supreme Court pick who will likely get passed through sometime in the coming days. This ensures then that the Republican Party remains strong in the Senate.
It does. We know that John Kyl, before his appointment, was shepherding the appointment of Kavanaugh to become Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. So we know he is a yes vote. And that would calm the White House. But in addition, really, in Arizona, there are very few people who can get into this role right away and do the job that is expected of this position. And quite frankly, John Kyl is at the very top of that list.
It seems the national eyes are really centered on Arizona right now as so much is taking place as we look toward the November election. Right now, though, NAFTA negotiations also taking place with both presidents, including the incoming from Mexico, really watching that process to see how this relationship develops. John Kyl has expertise in this region as well.
Yes, he does. And quite frankly, that's probably one of the reasons why the governor picked him. He wanted somebody who knows the issues very well, specifically the issues that plague Arizona. And one of them, of course, is what happens to NAFTA and the broader conversation about immigration. We know we benefit from NAFTA. We know that if that agreement goes away, it's going to hurt our economy. And having John Kyl, somebody with that kind of stature and, quite frankly, respect from both sides of the aisle, gives Arizona a very important voice as we are heading toward what looks like sort of the final agreement here with Mexico and Canada.
In some political circles, Luigi, it sounds like there's some concern over John Kyl's time in the Senate. He has already said, I will only stay until January. That also puts pressure on Governor Ducey to keep a close eye on that seat as we move forward.
It does. And my reading of this is they obviously put a pretty good thought into how to create this succession or how to make the succession happen. And they clearly mapped out what they were going to do. They knew that John Kyl was only going to stay through December or through January. And at one point, after that, the governor would have to appoint somebody else. So right now, it's very clear that John Kyl is a caretaker figure, a placeholder, somebody who would get the job done, get in, get out, get the job done. And the job right now is the confirmation of Kavanaugh to the U.S. Supreme Court. So that's the number 1 job. And then what happens next is the governor will have the opportunity to pick somebody who can actually run for election and potentially win that seat and keep it in Republican hands. And my reading is this is exactly why they wanted this succession to go this way.
Okay, and the Democrats, of course, keeping a close eye on this as well. Luigi Del Puerto, editor of the Arizona Capital Times, joining us via Skype from Phoenix. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
With a focus now on November's general election, speculation continues to build whether key congressional seats will flip from red to blue. It depends who you ask. Understandably, we got very different responses from Joe Holt and David Eppenheimer, leaders of the Democratic and Republican parties in Pima County.
We want to do whatever we can to put the brakes on the Trump administration, which means flipping Congress seats, flipping Senate seats, and in the state, especially after yesterday's Supreme Court ruling, we really have to work on funding public education, and that means we will be opposing the state legislative majority and the Governor Ducey.
The Democrats' strategy has clearly been to make everything about Trump, and Joe's answer was clearly in that vein. We're going to unite as well behind our candidates. We're doing a unity and campaign kickoff event next week, and we are very confident and very optimistic of what's going to be the result of this general election. The economy is rolling. People are working that were not working. Unemployment is at historic lows. The stock markets, all of them, are at historic highs. And this personal attack on President Trump and trying to make everything about his personality is not where voters are going to be.
What will the voter expect as we move into November? The Democrats will want to talk very much about President Trump, and I imagine the Republicans will as well, but what's the voter who's sitting at home? What will they likely be seeing over the next few weeks?
Over the next few weeks, the voters will be seeing a lot of information about our U.S. Senate candidate, Kyrsten Sinema, and about our congressional district candidate, Ann Kirkpatrick, and our statewide candidates. That's really what the voters will be seeing. The message that comes through really is a message to support working families. It's our democratic message that we have had for a very, very long time. And we have to keep pointing out that these reports of a great GDP and a great economy and the gains economically that we're seeing in this country are going to a very, very, very small percentage of Americans. The majority of the increase in our economy is going into the pockets of a very few people. And as the Democratic Party, what we will be talking about is growing the economy from the middle out and supporting the middle class and supporting unions.
All right, David?
I couldn't disagree with everything Joe just said more. The idea that only a very, very few are benefiting from the booming economy is absolutely false. The tax cut has resulted in money in the pockets of every working person in the United States. There were bonuses handed out by scores and company after company to their employees in anticipation of lower corporate taxes. The working people are exactly who the Trump agenda has benefited. The thing that Joe alluded to that I think we will be making very, very apparent to the voters is the Democrat Party has swung so far left. They are totally out of touch. They are not what they are. They might as well rebrand as the Democrat Socialist Party and get on board with Bernie and go forward from there, because that's what their candidates are.
Are the Republicans also facing the same challenge of possibly rebranding themselves?
Oh, I don't think so at all. No, our brand is strong and our confidence is high. Arizonans know what's going on, and there's going to be no blue wave. There'll be a red tide.
Another issue dividing the party leaders, the Arizona Supreme Court's decision to block the so-called Invest in Ed measure from appearing on the ballot in November. It would have let voters decide whether to raise income taxes on the wealthy to fund public education. The court's ruling came down to wording in the proposal.
It's a blow to education in Arizona. A blow to the party, probably not much of a blow to the party in terms of in fact, I think you may have just awoken a sleeping giant. The anger is real. I'm wearing red today for Red for Ed, and I'm seeing red as well. I'm angry that our state legislature has set this up where voter initiatives now have become very, very difficult. And they've done this on purpose because the Republican majority of our state legislature does not support voter initiatives. They don't want them.
It was a poorly written initiative, and the courts recognized that it was misleading and insufficiently clear and struck it down. That's what happened.
The money that we're going to see in Arizona this November.
Yes.
Is this a battleground state?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's a battleground state for us. Absolutely.
Well, it's been made a battleground state by the media and by the Democrat Party. But again, I think that those who think that Arizona can be flipped are in for a big surprise. The candidates that were elected to represent the Democrat Party on Tuesday, or culminated with the end of the voting process on Tuesday, are awful candidates. You can here in Arizona. I mean, Garcia's a socialist, bar none. These are awful candidates. They're too far left for Arizona, and they're going to get beat. And Grijalva's going to get beat. The man is an abomination.
Joe?
Well, of course, I completely, totally, utterly disagree, but you have to kind of expect that because we do not support the Trump administration.
Trump is not up for election this year.
Yeah, actually, yes.
No, that's what you'd like to make the voter
You're saying
believe.
these local races
The
are directly
state
action.
races.
It all reflects, and it's all the reaction to what's going on right now. I'm sorry, I have too many people walking into my headquarters every day and calling us on the phone and saying, I haven't been active for a long time. I need to get active. I need to help. And they're being motivated by what's happening at the federal level.
And we have Democrats walking into our office every day changing their registration because they say their party has gone too far left. Their party is socialist.
Well, you know, we've got your Republicans coming into ours and changing too, David, so what are we going to do?
I think we're going to have the two of you back for November, and then right after November,
Okay, great.
we'll
be
play back some of this. How's that?
Terrific.
All right. My
Sounds
thanks
good.
to both
Thank
of you. As mentioned in that discussion, some propositions on the ballot came down to recent rulings from the Arizona Supreme Court. While it tossed the Invest in Ed initiative, the court cleared the way for voters to decide the future of Arizona's energy sources. Vanessa Barchfield reports.
More solar, more savings. Vote yes on 127.
Let's keep our electric bills affordable. Vote no on Prop 127.
Proposition 127 would amend Arizona's constitution and require energy utilities, including Tucson Electric Power, to get half of their energy from renewables like wind and solar by the year 2030. That's an increase from the state's existing renewable energy standard, which requires 15% of renewable generation by 2025. The Corporation Commission adopted that standard in 2006. Arizona State University professor Chris Mays formerly served on the Corporation Commission. She now volunteers with the group that's pushing for Proposition 127 and says the current renewable energy standard, which she co-authored, was a good start.
But we are now falling far behind our neighbors. So most of our surrounding states, states like California, Nevada, Colorado, I think New Mexico soon, are going to at least 50%.
In fact, California lawmakers are sending a bill to Governor Jerry Brown to sign that would move the state to 100% renewable energy by 2045. Here in Arizona, there's a large campaign against Prop 127, led by Arizonans for Affordable Electricity. Matthew Benson is the group's spokesperson.
There's a massive impact here. Every independent entity that has looked at this has found it will increase the rates that you pay every single month when you get that electric bill. So ASU, for example, has found that it will increase by $1,900 a year the electric rates paid by the average Arizona household. In southern Arizona, Tucson Electric finds that it'll increase by about $500 per year for the typical household. So we refer to this as an energy tax in a lot of ways because it is going to tack on a significant additional cost every time you get that bill at the end of the month.
We know that renewable energy sources like solar and wind are coming in at record low prices, 2.2 cents a kilowatt hour in the case of solar. We're seeing that it's actually reducing utility bills in states like Colorado and Nevada. So when you look at the actual price of renewable energy, you see that there is absolutely no way that what the utilities are saying about renewable energy in Prop 127 could be true.
The pro-Proposition 127 group also cites a report from the environmental advocacy group, the Natural Resources Defense Council, that says the measure will save consumers $4.1 billion through 2040. Benson contests that finding.
Yeah, I think people kind of understand that there's no free lunch. So if you're going to require that public utilities phase out all of their base coal-fired plants, close Palo Verde, which is the largest source of clean energy in the country, and then replace it with thousands and thousands of megawatts worth of solar farms, new transmission lines, battery power, that's expensive.
The Palo Verde Nuclear Generating Station is located just west of Phoenix. It's co-owned by the state's largest utility, Arizona Public Service, or APS. May says there's nothing in Prop 127 that would lead to Palo Verde's closure.
That nuclear power plant is going to stay there. It's going to live out its useful life. And these claims that APS are making that somehow this ballot initiative is going to result in the closure of Palo Verde are ridiculous.
It's interesting. You know, the proponents of the initiative specifically wrote it to exclude nuclear power as a clean fuel. And that's interesting because, you know, the impetus for this ballot measure is climate change, right? Except Palo Verde is, again, the nation's largest source of carbon-free electricity.
You wouldn't include nuclear because it's really not a renewable energy source. You know, the waste that comes from nuclear power sits for 700 years and doesn't degrade. It's zero emissions, but it's not renewable energy, and we did not include it in the original renewable energy standard.
May says the state's utilities arguments against Prop 127 are similar to complaints made in the mid-2000s against the current renewable energy standards.
The utilities all said, oh, it can't be done, commissioners. We'll never be able to afford this. It's too expensive. We'll never be able to do it. Technically, it's impossible. And of course, that all didn't come to pass. Turned out it wasn't too expensive. It was the right thing to do for Arizona. It's immensely popular with the people of Arizona. They want us to have a clean energy future.
But Benson says this time is very different because the Prop 127 campaign is funded by San Francisco-based billionaire Tom Steyer, a major backer of progressive candidates and measures.
This is not an Arizona idea supported by Arizonans. This is a California idea that is brought to us by a California billionaire.
I am grateful that someone is helping us to fight APS and to fight the forces that have refused to allow us to do more clean energy in Arizona.
May says APS and its parent company, Pinnacle West, are pumping millions of dollars to fight Prop 127, just as they did to influence the Corporation Commission.
And those commissioners have basically done what APS wanted them to do. They have stopped the progress of renewable energy and clean energy in the state. And so it is time now for the people of this state, the people of Tucson, the people of Phoenix, Flagstaff, Prescott, where I am from, to take this issue into our own hands.
Arizona Public Service is an Arizona company. They've been here for over a century. And they're going to be here after the election to deal with the ramifications, whatever may come, whether this initiative passes or fails.
Arizonans will decide for themselves on this November's ballot.
During the last week, dozens of people have arrived at the DeConcini Port of Entry in Nogales to request asylum. Customs and Border Protection says the agency's policy is to keep family units together while at the ports to the extent that is operationally feasible. This week, we visited Nogales, Sonora, and spoke with those waiting to be processed.
Sí, nos traerá agua.
Iraesa Salazar is describing the help she's receiving while waiting to claim asylum. The mother of two traveled for days in a bus before arriving in Nogales. She and her children are from the Mexican state of Guerrero.
A pedir asilo para que me ayuden a
to ask for asylum, so they help me cross with my kids, so I can help get my kids ahead, so they can get an education.
Que tengan estudio.
Iraesa says in her country there's word that now is the time to come to the United States. When I ask who's helping share that message, she only says people.
They said that they are giving asylum to cross. So I told my family that I'm going to come and get asylum so they can help me with my children.
This port looks different than it did a month ago. In August, we visited and didn't find any families seeking asylum. Volunteers in Nogales say the families sitting here began arriving over the weekend.
We're all getting together in the different organizations.
Panchito Olachea says over the summer, shelters provided lodging and food and then closed when there's no longer a need. But that's changing again.
The shelters are not prepared. Todo bien.
They're offering everything from snacks to medical care and diapers. It's a scramble for volunteers, but they say they're doing the best they can. Panchito worries, though, that the journey north ends here for these migrants.
These people don't even have a clue sometimes what political asylum is. But we have to pray very, very hard because when you hear them talk, they don't qualify, a lot of them.
In a statement, Customs and Border Protection said officers document asylum claims, process the claimant, and then turn them over to ICE's Enforcement and Removal Office. The agency says overall the number of family units crossing the southwest border is up nearly 142%. This summer, Border Patrol agents in Arizona have encountered large groups of migrants. The agency says smugglers tell them to surrender to agents once they've crossed the border. This past July, along the southern border, more than 8,600 people were processed and found not to meet criteria to enter the United States and subsequently face an immigration hearing. Antonio Perez Ordóñez made the trip from Guatemala with his son Eduardo.
We came here because of the poverty. There in Guatemala, there's no work.
If he's turned away, he says he'll return home, but for now he hopes he'll get asylum and be sent to Georgia, where a friend has promised him work on a farm. As NAFTA talks between the U.S. and its neighbors ramp up, those in southern Arizona whose livelihoods depend on trade are watching closely. That includes Scott Vandervoot, chairman of the Fresh Produce Association of the Americas, whose members import fruit and produce from Mexico and distribute them across the U.S. and Canada. We visited Vandervoot's warehouse in Rio Rico and learned more about what's on the line for companies like his.
Well, Vandervoot & Associates is a produce importer and distributor founded in 1994 between my father and some growers in Mexico. The company brings fruits and vegetables across the border here into Nogales, Arizona, and we sell them and market them to clients in the US and Canada. The best fruit or vegetable is a sold fruit or vegetable, so we try to limit the amount of time they sit here in Nogales or Rio Rico.
So you really function as a logistical hub.
We're a logistical hub both in the sense of movement of the goods, but also the sale and marketing. So it's our job to take the fruit or vegetable to market, to put a price on it, to sell it, and to get it into the hands of the consumer. Due to the seasonality of agriculture everywhere, a lot of people involved in the agricultural trade have to figure out, how do you generate enough revenue in a limited amount of time to cover your costs on the 12-month cycle. The bank keeps collecting the mortgage, the salaries still have to get paid, so the electric bill continues to come. So we have to figure out a way to make it work. We've been watching the negotiations as closely as humanly possible for the last 18 months. since the initial announcement, since the idea was floated in spring of 2017. We've been watching and trying to have a seat at the table and try to provide our perspective to those involved in the negotiations.
What don't those people at the table know about what's happening here right now?
What we're trying to explain to them is that this is a very vibrant economy and a vibrant community that's dependent on U.S.-Mexico trade, and hampering that trade would have detrimental effects to our area.
How valuable is this relationship right now?
You can't put a price on it. It is our entire livelihood and our future.
If Canada is not part of the deal, as we've heard there are still some ongoing discussions, does that impact you here in Nogales?
Potentially it could impact us. Most of our business in respect to the importation of fruits and vegetables is with Mexico. We import Mexican fruits and vegetables, but a lot of our clients are in Canada, so that business relationship does extend into Canada.
Are you of the mind that if Canada is not part of the deal, it could have some serious repercussions here in the Arizona-Mexico area?
You know, that's difficult to understand. We don't see a lot of the direct economic activity of the U.S.-Canada relationship or the Mexico-Canada relationship. This border is what we're focused on, the U.S.-Mexico border. I think it's hard for us to understand how the relationship would end up without Canada.
There was a time when NAFTA did not exist down here. I know that you have been part of a long family tradition of business down here. What do you know about what it used to be like prior to NAFTA?
Well, the cost of doing business was very different when you had tariffs and duties on top of the imported fruits and vegetables. When those went away, our whole model for doing business adjusted. So we're basically used to doing business in the NAFTA time. Going back to a pre-NAFTA time would be something that a lot of people just don't remember, and it would be a learning process.
Are there any benefits to going back to pre-NAFTA?
I cannot envision any.
If there is no NAFTA, is it possible for you to continue to do business with your partners south of the border?
It is possible. The cost of doing business will change. Theoretically, it would cost us more to do business. Where those costs would end up, I don't know. Any company would have to analyze their business model and try to figure out how to either absorb or pass on those costs.
Possible, though, that it impacts the average consumer like myself?
Quite possible. I think increased costs of doing business, of importing and selling fruits and vegetables, would try to be distributed throughout the supply chain.
And that's all for now. Thanks so much for joining us. To get a look at next week's program, visit us on social media and let us know what you think. We'll see you next week.